Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello. Welcome to the Law & Order Special Victims Unit After Show here on AFTERBUZZ. I'm your host, Yael Tygiel. Dancing with me today, we've got Roya Taheri.
Hello, everybody.
What is this interpretive dance?
It's the beat, man. You just go with it.
All right, that's enough of that.
I'm in New York.
We're talking about Season 16, Episode 9, Spousal Privilege. Before we begin, seeing as how we are talking about domestic abuse and domestic violence.
Are you about to beat me? Is that what you're going to do?
See, before you make jokes like that, guys, we would like to give you a little disclaimer and remind you that, yes, this is a very serious topic. This is a very serious issue. And although we take things like this very seriously, sometimes it's really horrific and you got to lighten the mood a little and make terribly off-color jokes. And that's what we do here. So if you can't handle it, we're sorry.
Yes. No more.
Yes, definitely the No More Project. Amazing. We'll talk about that later. But also, we want to give you a hotline for victims of domestic abuse. It's right there.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
It's right there.
You were looking for it. Go ahead.
1-800-799-7233. Again, that's 1-800-799-7233.
Okay, let's talk about domestic abuse now. So this episode is ripped straight from the Ray Rice headline. They even drop his name, which is, that's how they do it to let you know this is the headline. I mean, that's what they did with the Caleb Bryant, Chris Brown one, where they're like, oh, Caleb Bryant can go hang out with Chris Brown. That's how you know that they ripped it from the headline. Is there something you want to say?
Yes. There was two football players that got kicked off.
Right.
There's Ray Rice,
yes.
And then do you recall who the second one was?
No, because he's a football player.
I know. Nando, do you recall who the second one was? I'm sorry.
Is it the one that we talked about a few weeks ago?
There was two of them, and I wish I could...
Because the first episode of this season, we discussed...
I'm so sorry, fans that are listening right now and are pissed with me because I didn't do my research.
You didn't. But do you remember the first episode of the season we discussed, because it sounded like or the second episode, it sounded like they were taking a story from... I don't have it in my notes, from the Ray Rice story, and it turned out it was not. It was more Solange than Ray Rice, remember?
Yes. Well, that's the thing, though.
There was another football player that we talked about then. In this episode, it was pretty much Ray Rice, especially because of the footage of him beating her.
Yes, I got it mixed up with the other football player, the one that was abusing children.
Oh, no, this was not that at all.
That's who I thought Ray Rice did that one.
No.
That's why I was like, what? That's not even right. People, you got the wrong guy.
No, you got the wrong guy.
I got the wrong guy. Good thing I'm not a detective.
Yes, seriously. So the episode starts, and this bothers me a lot. So the episode starts with Finn. We'll get to Nick and Maria and Rollins and all that later. Finn is looking at leaked nude photos of celebrities, and I got so angry. And mixed in the leaked photos is this footage of AJ Martin, our Ray Rice, beating his baby mama. So what bothers me is that they took this huge issue of the celebrity nudes leaked and turned it into just a sentence to lead them to where they're going in this episode. That issue would have been something that I wanted to talk about, especially because Nick makes the comment, if you don't want your nudes all over the place, don't take nudes. And Rollins points out, like, oh, you're right. If I don't want to be assaulted, I shouldn't wear a short skirt. I'm like, guys, this is a huge topic that we should be talking about. This is an episode all in its own that we should have. And you have boiled it down to 3 sentences.
No, but maybe they will pull it in. Maybe that was them planting the seed of like, hey, just like how you got riled up with it, they could do that again.
So then, like, 3 weeks or whatever, they could be
they can go back to the website and then have more leaked information.
Fine. They better. If they forget that this happened...
They won't forget. That's like saying they forget about a rape victim. Like, that's not possible. Or Baby Benson. It's like they would forget about Baby Benson.
Yeah, where was Baby Benson this week?
He was in her arms watching the footage of Hoda. I calculated. I'm like, why is he there again?
Yeah. All right, let's talk about AJ Martin.
Plus, I'm keeping track. Remember?
I know. So AJ Martin, he is our football player. Yeah, he's a retired football player who also hosts a thing, like a football-y show. That's a thing people do.
Yeah, it would probably be the NFL Network.
Sure, that makes sense. NFL, that's football.
Which is what was it? Al Sharpton?
No.
So anyways, there was another football player that got removed
Al
because
Sharpton is a reverend.
Damn it.
Roya, you are out of the game today. All right. So AJ Martin, we have this footage of him, and you were wrong. It was not video in an elevator. Please don't choke. You predicted that we would see footage from an elevator, but because it wasn't.
That was cheating. What they did was cheating.
I know, they
I didn't know
totally-
Stairwells had cameras like that.
Yeah, guys, we feel cheated.
Yes.
I agree. We see AJ and his wife, baby mama Paula at this point. She's still baby mama. And
Why can't she be called girlfriend?
Because she's the mother of his child. So he spanks her bottom, and they clearly are not having a good time. Like, she's clearly
Spanks her bottom? That's
Hits
what you
her on
took
the
out of
ass.
it?
Yes.
Spanks her bottom.
You let me goddamn tell the story.
When children misbehave, they get a spanking on the bottom.
He assaulted her
There you
on
go.
her ass. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
He punched her in the right butt cheek.
No, he didn't punch her. It was open-handed. Anyway. And then later it cuts to her being dragged out of the stairwell unconscious.
Are there actually cameras like that in stairwells?
I think some stairwells. I think the fact that they were supposed to be at the black and white gala at the Met, which tells me I'm going to make an assumption that the Met stairwells and garage have good security.
Well, except for they reset their cache, but yeah.
I meant the camera.
Yeah.
That they have cameras. Anyway.
Well, it's good to know. I'm just saying because I feel like a lot of their rape cases could have been solved that happened in stairwells
With
the cameras.
Yeah. Yeah, this show makes me wonder how many cameras are in places.
And then I'm going to be looking when I go up a stairwell and be like looking for a camera.
Oh, I
Is there
look
a
for
camera?
cameras everywhere. I don't know about you all, but after that episode, which Amy Sedaris guest starred in before she was anybody, with the guy who puts the cameras in the toilets, after that one, I check toilets every public restroom I use. That thing made me paranoid.
Oh, man.
Yeah, SVU brings out the worst in my paranoia. Back to AJ Martin.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Roya.
I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. So anyway, SVU decides we got to follow up on this because how did she go from being manhandled to unconscious? So they go to his house.
I like their little tie. They're with the elevator.
Yeah.
In a way, they kind of made it look elevator-ish. Because that you see Ray Rice carrying the body out.
It was, they even say, after Ray Rice and the others, comma, we follow up.
Yeah.
I added the comma, guys.
Comma.
Yeah, they didn't say comma. Anyway, so they follow up, yes.
Apparently Finn does this free time where he looks up this kind of footage, and Benson's had to tell him to get back on track, by the way.
I think that it was, so that's what bothered me, is that we had these nude leaked photos that Finn was like, I'm going to look through these. And Benson's like, what, that's not work. And he's like, well, some of these are underage, so we're going to look at them because, they could be kiddie porn. No, Finn, you send it back to that guy from last week who hated his life. Like, you give it to him. That poor man sits and looks through these. That poor man. I thought about him a lot this week.
Aw, well, that's nice. Did you write him a little note?
No, I feel really bad for him.
You should write him a note.
Okay. So it looks like what happened was AJ Martin and Paula were approached by a security guard in the parking lot, and no charges were filed, but he was offered a deal to do community service. And he rejected the plea deal. And therefore, the case is still open. So Barba is like, go and ask them and find out. We meet Antoine Gerard Jr. AJ stands for Antoine Gerard. So we meet Jr. and we see the way AJ talks to him and he yells at him and it's very uncomfortable. So Benson takes Paula over to the side and starts asking her and whatever.
I didn't like that scene very much.
Why?
I just felt like it was forced. It was one of those like obvious signs that they want us as a viewer to see. Couldn't the father be like, hey, go to your room, and then if he doesn't respond, then give the anger? I get the point, but we don't need you to tell us that he's got anger issues.
I think they did, because of the way the story ends, because of the way that, like, when you hear her talking, they want to make sure, they being SVU as a show, want to make sure that us as the audience doesn't get swayed the way the jury might. I mean, look at this whole story ends up being, is she a victim? Is he abusing her? There's no, aside from the one time he punches her, we have no proof or evidence that he's actually abusing her and that she's in an abusive relationship. Therefore, Benson is like, no, clearly this is abuse, but people don't see it that way. And so they needed to make it clear to us, this is abuse, so that we aren't swayed the other direction.
Because, I mean, this was, I guess, technically before we see him actually punch her. So I guess we're on the fence about him, but I just didn't like it. I don't know.
I didn't like that we then see LMZ. I want to know what the LMZ stands for.
If Hoda can have a show, I think LMZ could have a show too.
Sure. So they leak the missing garage footage, which we see him. We see AJ puncher. Barba wants to plead him out. He doesn't want to take it to trial. He wants to plead him out. But then AJ's lawyer riles him up, and he's like, we're going to make it reckless endangerment. We're going to trial. Yeah. It looks like originally they were going to try to let him do anger management. And they kind of corner Benson on the stand about Nick being rehabilitated through anger management. And Benson tries her best to be like, well, Nick was a cop. And, he was going after this very disgusting perp, and he lost his cool. AJ is not a cop. That's not the situation. What do you think about this? Do you believe anger management rehabilitates? Way to put you on the spot.
Does it I think it helps you channel it, but I think you'll still have that tick. Like, if you can't figure out that thing that makes you go off.
Your trigger?
Yeah, your trigger, then you're kind of in trouble. Because even in The Office, anger management comes up when Andy has to go because he punches a wall, and then he has it affect him again later with Angela. I know it's a little comedy factor, but still, he had anger issues, and you could still see him be like, "Rrr!" And then he would have to remember the trick.
I think anger management works for some people if they want. I think just like any other sort of, I'm going to put anger with addictions, that like if you don't want to get better, you're never going to.
That's true.
You're never going to change if you don't want to. And I think that's where the anger management thing comes in. So Paula they get married, Paula and AJ, and they get on this, she gets called up. Do you have something you want to add?
Hoda makes a return.
Yes. Hoda with her show.
And she gets a 15-carat ring because her husband's number was 15. Oh, I wish he was 62 or something like that number. That would be amazing. I'm like, oh, man. Would be
like, I can't lift it, guys.
Yeah, I love how she gets such a nice ring, but she can't get her roots done. Like, what's up with that?
That's how you know she's being
exactly.
Yeah.
Can't take care of herself because she's too worried looking at every corner.
Well, Paula takes the stand. It seems that they met about 10 years ago when she was 21. It was her first serious relationship. They had a baby together a few years after. She gave up her job. She kind of gave up all of her friends. She has no male friends. She doesn't go out with friends without AJ being there. And he doesn't yell at her, but he does raise his voice at her son. And then she starts, she looks to AJ before answering any questions that Barba has. And she says, she kind of like lets it out that people have told her, like, you need to leave this relationship. It's unhealthy. And she says, like, you don't know my situation. You can't tell me what's right for me. You and the others, you don't know. And that's when Barbara's like, oh, others. Who else told you that? Your sister?
Yeah. That story when she was saying that sounds so familiar because I knew someone that was being abused by their significant other.
Yeah.
And that was the same story that they said. I'm like, you need to go, get out. No.
Yeah.
You don't understand. It was a one extra time plus an extra time.
Right.
It's like,
it's a really common story. It happens a lot. I think the issue with this situation, well, so anyway, AJ is found guilty.
Well, I mean, before that part, when this is a little bit behind in the restroom when Benson goes and talks to the wife, what did you think of her response about saying how AJ Jr. is being picked on at school for this? Like, I mean, I know it's a little bit random, but for me, I thought that was a little weird that he's getting picked on.
I mean, when a kid, it happens in pretty much every episode where a kid is being, if the parent is in the news, then the kid is being bullied at school, regardless of if it's a positive or a negative. You know what I mean? In pretty much every story we have where there's an adult with kids, like the kid is taking the slack.
We didn't see the kid that much in this episode. I was kind of...
No, just the part where he gets yelled at.
Yeah. And to me, that kind of... I wanted more of the kid.
Yeah.
In order... Because I'm more curious of if he's just being verbally abused or if he was actually being physically abused. And if the mother was more protective of the kid than in order to protect from being hit. And so she was taking it for the kid. Yeah. Being protective.
It kind of sounded like it was.
It just seemed like we didn't have all the facts.
We didn't have all the facts, definitely. And so AJ is found guilty, and he won't even look at Paula as he's taken out. And then, of course, Paula yells at Benson and blames her. Says, it was my choice, and you took that away from me. And it's such a crazy discussion of, you know, we can say, yes, he punched her. Therefore, she is being abused, right? That is a thing that is happening. But we don't know their story. I'm not at all, I just want to clarify, saying that, like, you know, she should stay with him or whatever, but we don't know.
Yeah. No, I with this story, part of me was kind of against the fact that Benson was hunting it down. If she didn't, I get it, instead of, it just...
Yeah.
This case really irritated me because it was none of our business at that time.
Yeah.
If there was an issue, he will slip again. It might be too late, but this is something she would have to figure out. The wife would have to figure out on her own.
And she's never going to, though.
I understand that, but to me, I didn't really enjoy this case.
Well,
I did not feel satisfied with the fact that he was guilty. Even though I'm happy that he was.
Right. No, I agree.
But usually when the
it didn't feel satisfactory at the end.
Yeah, I felt like we were he was forced in that route.
It was a lose-lose situation.
Yeah. Except for, I hope they didn't have a prenup or anything like that. But they got married. Yeah. So they got to sell that ring.
Seriously. Well, there's a kind of a mirroring story with Nick and Maria where we open the episode with him yelling at Maria on the phone, losing his temper. Rollins tries to calm him down a little bit. And then later, as the case goes forward, we have this weird situation where, you know, where Nick and Benson see this as domestic abuse. And Rollins and Finn are, like, not sure. And Rollins says, like, you know, in the South, like, that's how you were raised. We picked out our own switch, that, like, whatever we were going to get hit with. Finn is like, yeah, I was terrified of my mama because I know that she would hit me. So Nick is on Benson's side, but then when Rollins is drunk and is baiting him, he's like, this isn't pissing you off. And she hits him until he snaps and throws a glass. And everybody in this bar is silent and nervous. And Rollins says this really interesting thing about how she doesn't want to be the victim, and neither does Paula. But what's interesting is that Paula, who doesn't want to be seen as a victim, put herself in this, I'm not blaming her. Let me clarify as I say this. I'm not blaming her, but she put herself in this victim position because in the situation of the night of the black and white gala, she says, I was drunk. I was, jealous. I was the one who was baiting him. She, like, says it's my fault. You know what I mean? But she doesn't want to be seen as the victim. You're saying you're the victim. Does that make sense?
I didn't take it as that was her way of saying she was a victim.
No. She was
taking it on, the blame. She was taking the blame.
Yes.
You're not a victim if you take the blame, are you?
Yeah. With all those women who say, oh, I should have had dinner ready. Oh, it was my fault because his clothes weren't clean. It was my fault because dinner wasn't ready.
So they're a victim? I thought that cancels them. That's in their mind, they're saying they're not a victim.
Right. But they're saying, yes, in their mind, that's saying I'm not the victim.
Right.
But they are. Does that make sense? I'm not making sense. I apologize.
You're saying, even though they're saying no, in reality, what they're doing, it's a yes, that they are a victim.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can walk and talk like an elephant, but they look like a human.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that's not the right analogy.
It's good. It's good. Last thing I want to touch upon is that Finn kind of says to Rollins to take care of herself and to stop seeing Nick.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, we're not stupid.
Yeah. Basically, don't shit where you eat.
Yeah. Stop screwing Nick.
Yeah. So what do you think? That's the end?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I was like, maybe they'll have like hot sex.
Yeah,
later.
yeah. They're going to have some like hot, angry sex. All right. I want to take a moment to talk about iTunes because this is the time. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much.
Hot, angry sex leads to iTunes.
Always. I don't know about you. I don't know what that means. Guys, thank you so much for downloading and streaming and watching us. We really appreciate it. We're clearly fans of the show. Even episodes that we are not particularly fond of, like we love dissecting and talking about. So thank you. Yeah, you take your popcorn away from the microphone, Missy. Okay, so we ask you to do one very simple thing for us. Go onto iTunes, rate and review our show. If you like our show, give us 5 stars. If you don't, that's fine.
Cool, whatever.
We get it.
See you another time.
Yeah, it's our fault we didn't have dinner ready. Leave a 4-star review if you don't like us. 4 stars, we'll take it. But leave a comment, let us know what we could be doing better, what we're doing well. We will try to remember to do shout-outs to people who leave comments. Roya, that's your new homework. Yep. Okay. So
Fine, yes, I would love to.
also, next week is not a new episode. In fact, 2 weeks, no new episode until the 10th. We'll get to that later in predictions. But while you're leaving comments, we would love it if you could tell us your fan favorite episode, and we will cover it in the hiatus. We did that with a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did the pilot.
We talked about the pilot episode. So, leave comments on YouTube or tweet at us what you want us to cover next, and we will.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about in this episode's spousal privilege?
I already talked about her roots. That was just a huge thing.
Yeah, no, the roots, yeah.
I just don't get it. You have all that. You have a 15-carat ring.
Yeah.
You can
can't
afford to get your
roots
hair done. Come on.
Girl, it happens. All right, I want to take this moment now, because we have so much left to talk about, to get into news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, a lot of you have asked for it, which makes me disgustedly happy, because we don't have a Stephen Collins update, and we haven't even talked about it yet, but we're talking about Bill Cosby. Yes?
Can I just make a note that Yael wouldn't let me bring any Jell-O for the show, guys.
No,
I was going to pull out
absolutely
some
not.
Jell-O and eat it while she was talking about Bill Cosby.
I feel like it's incredibly offensive
just
to
eat my
eat Jell-O
popcorn.
right now. All right, let's talk
Jell-O.
about...
Newsflash, Jell-O has actually dropped in the market.
Yeah, seriously, I think no one's bought Jell-O in months now. All right. For those who have been living under a rock for some reason, Bill Cosby, that's right, the one and only Bill Cosby, Dr. Huxtable. Oh, guys, he's ridiculous. Okay, you know what? I brought it up when it first started, when that comedian had made that comment about how women have accused him of rape. I brought it up a few episodes ago. And then, since that, all these women have come out, been like, hey, I was raped and sexually abused and drugged and all sorts of horrific things by Bill Cosby.
Wait, when did you do this?
A few episodes ago, I brought in, it was just a quick statement. Some comedian made a news. That was me butchering a word. Comedian.
I mentioned it to you.
Maybe. All right.
Double digits.
Yes. Thank you, Nando in the booth. Okay.
It wasn't me. I take it back.
Yeah.
It was something else.
Yes. All right. It seems now that 15 plus women, over 15 women have come out with allegations against Bill Cosby. I have a almost complete list. BuzzFeed, thank you for putting it together, I guess.
Yeah, BuzzFeed.
I don't know if we should be glad they're putting it together. We have Andrea Andrea Constand, who was a former employee at Temple University, which is where he graduated from. She told authorities in 2004, I can read, guys, that he drugged her with an herbal pill, quotes on that, then he touched her breast and vaginal area, rubbed his penis against her hand, and then digitally penetrated her.
Digitally?
Yes, that's fingers.
Oh, okay. I was like, how does he digital back then?
No. These are your digits.
Oh.
Got it. March 2005, she filed a civil suit with 13 Jane Does with similar stories. This is what the comedian, what was his name? Burgess? This was his... Yes. Hannibal Burgess. That's right. Thank you. That's what he was referring to, was this lawsuit. And the second woman, one of the Jane Does in her lawsuit, is Tamara Green, who is a California-based lawyer. She said, I have quotes, "He'd gone from helping me to groping me, kissing me, and touching me, and handling me." She confronted him, and he left two $100 bills on her coffee table and left her apartment.
That's it?
Yeah, I know. Beth Ferrier. I'm so sorry for butchering everyone's name. She's Jane Doe number 5 on the lawsuit from the first lady, Constand.
Are they really technically Jane Does anymore?
They were at the time.
Okay.
But we're clarifying who is from the past lawsuit and who's from the new one.
Now, BuzzFeed did all of this.
Yes.
So is this public information, or is this kind of like what just happened in this episode where a video was leaked?
I think this is public information that they have put together. Yeah, all of these seem to have been... they were all in this lawsuit, and I think they've decided... Okay, so it says here that Beth Ferrier, who is Jane Doe number 5 on the Constand lawsuit, decided to go public now. So she's a former model, so I think they're now going public after they were the people on the thing. She's going public. She's a former model who had an affair with him, a month-long consensual affair in the mid-'80s, and after it ended, he drugged her coffee, and she ended up alone in her car with her bra undone and no memory of what happened for several hours. She said that Cosby gave her favorite coffee, in quotes, to relax before her performance. I woke up and was in the back of my car alone. My clothes were a mess. My bra was undone. My top untucked. I was sitting there. Oh my God, where am I? What's going on? I was so out of it. It was so awful. She confronted Cosby, told her that she had too much to drink. The next one we have is Barbara Bowman. She's also from the first lawsuit. She's an artist and former actress. She went public in 2006. She lives in Arizona. He assaulted her on multiple occasions in 1986 when she was 18. She said that he was a mentor and brainwashed her into viewing him as a father figure. That's so messed up. We have Joan Tarshis, who is a former actress and publicist. She says that he raped her twice in 1969 when she was 19. She's now 66, lives in New York. She was introduced to him by mutual friends. She says she was hanging out with him, and the next thing she remembers, she was on his couch while being undressed. Through the haze, I saw what I thought was him being clever when I told him I had an infection and he would catch it, and his wife would know he had sex with me. I thought I was being clever. But he just found another orifice to use.
Ew.
Yeah. I was sickened by what had happened to me and shocked that this man that I idolized was now raping me. Of course, I told no one.
Do you think he wore the sweaters?
Roya! Roya!
Sorry.
Yeah, disclaimer, guys. Sorry. Roya. No, and here's why I don't think he's wearing sweaters. There are Polaroid photos, because we're getting to her. Janice Dickinson, who people may know, she claims she's the first supermodel. Let's let her have that name. She was on America's Next Top Model. She was one of the judges. She also had her own reality show. She has a lot of plastic surgery. You know her. You'll see her face and go, oh, yeah. She claims that he had raped her. And there's a photo that TMZ released of him in it was so 80s, a bathrobe. And there's a TMZ Polaroid that's out and available, and I can tweet it out for people who want it. Unfortunately, she had a biography written recently in the past few years that talked about her hanging out with him. And she claims that it never, like in her biography, she said, we just hung out and he came on to her and she said no, and that was it. But now she's saying differently. So she kind of shot herself in the foot is what the lawyers are saying. The next thing, where was I? I was with, did I finish? Yeah, I finished Tarshis. Yes. Linda Joy Traits. She says that he tried to give her pills and drugs and got sexually aggressive when she was 19 and a waitress in the early 70s. Janice Dickinson. Hold on, I'm going to adjust my seat. Okay. She was hanging out with him. He gave her red wine and a pill for her stomach pains. She said she remembered he sexually assaulted her before she passed out. She told Entertainment Tonight, before I woke up in the morning, the last thing I remember was Bill Cosby in a patchwork bathrobe, which is in the photo, dropping his robe and getting on top of me. And I remember a lot of pain. The morning I was waking up with my pajamas off, and there was semen in between my legs.
He wasn't even...
Yeah. All right, the next 3 are...
It literally sounds like he jumps on them and then just walks off.
What do you mean?
No, like, I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to do the crime, at least clean it up a little bit.
No. He didn't think he'd ever get caught. None of these women told anything, and we'll get to why in a moment. The next 3 are Louisa Moritz, Carla Ferrigno, you may recognize that last name, and Teresa Sirignese. I'm sorry to butcher these names.
What was the last one? I might know that one. What was that one?
Teresa Sirignese.
One more time?
No! Okay.
Oh, just kidding. I don't know that one.
Yeah. Louisa Moritz is Moritz. She's an actress from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Carla Ferrigno, wife of Lou Ferrigno. Guys, she was assaulted. She said he grabbed me, pulled me to him, kissed me on the mouth, like really, really rough. She says,
Any digits? I learned a new word.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's your fault.
I'm sorry. There's these stories keep going. All right, Angela Leslie, who was a former model actress, said that he tried to drug her and force her to fondle him in Las Vegas in '92. She said that he targeted her after she sent him a letter and a photograph hoping for a role in his movie Ghost Dad. He invited her to the luxury suite in Vegas to discuss her acting career. He offered her a drink, which she didn't consume, and told her to wet her hair. I don't know. Then he began rubbing against the actress before pouring lotion into her palm and pulling her hand under the blankets. With his hand on top of mine, he massaged his penis. He masturbated into my hand. I was pulling back. I was in shock.
How? Like, I'm sorry, but I understand it's Bill Cosby, and you know that you don't want to be rude, but if he's starting to masturbate in front of me, I would get up and walk away.
Let me tell you why this...
And especially if they told me to wash my hair.
Let me tell you.
Unless...
Also, in this story,
I'm waiting.
We have more women, but I'll stop for a second and tell you about Frank Scotti, who is an NBC employee who has now come forward saying that he used to work for Cosby at NBC. He was... his job was to arrange meetings with girls. He would bring them to Cosby's dressing room, put them in there, tell them to stay and talk to no one, tell no one to go in there. He would then pay them when they were done. He had invoices of thousands of dollars for paying off these women, and he would set up apartments. And he even said that he felt disgusted by it. He felt like he was being a pimp, and he was disgusted.
So then
by
those women knew what they were getting themselves into. Like, I should clarify how I'm
Yeah.
going with that wording. No, what I mean is like.
No,
if
they
he
came
set up
in.
an apartment for them, like, do you mean he set up an apartment for the situation to go down in?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant like he was setting them up a housing place.
No.
But either way, still, women, like, ladies, come on, or men, anyone that's in a situation, if it doesn't feel right, no pun intended, get out. Like, just go.
Stop victim blaming.
I'm not victim blaming. I'm trying to be like, don't become a victim. Get out of there before you get to that. No matter who it is.
Okay, so recently
Even
one
if
of these
Obama
ladies,
comes to you.
I don't know who it was, I don't remember, was recently in an interview, and she was talking about, I think it was the woman who said that she had an infection and that he forced her into another orifice, or forced himself into another orifice. She was in an interview, I believe it was on CNN. I don't know if anybody knows. Nope. Okay. The reporter said to her, if he was in your mouth, why didn't you bite down? Why didn't you do this? And he got a ton of backlash. Because when you are being sexually assaulted, as Benson always says, your one responsibility is to survive. You don't know what'll happen if you do other things. If you bite, if you fight, if you do what you can.
But if it's Bill Cosby, you leave. Bill Cosby's not going to murder you.
You don't know that. Bill Cosby's not going to rape 15 plus women.
He did. Ish.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
He could murder you.
I don't know. I'm just saying I go down with a fight. That's me as a person.
Have you not seen a single episode of this show?
Yeah, it's called You Go Down with a Fight. You splatter evidence everywhere. If it doesn't look good, you hurry the heck up.
As Benson says, they all did the one thing they needed to. They survived.
Yeah, but then you're left with this, the feelings afterwards.
Yeah, and they're making a case. They're coming out about it now. I want to keep going.
Before the list keeps growing. This could have been...
I'm going to keep going. We have Renita Cheney Hill, who was 15 at the time. She was a kid.
What were the parents?
Excellent question. She said, one time I remember before I passed out, I remember him kissing and touching me, and I remember the taste of his cigar on his breath. I didn't like it. I remember another time I woke up in bed the next day and he was leaving. He mentioned that I should probably lose a little weight. I thought that was odd. I thought it was odd after I had this drink that I would end up in bed the next morning and I wouldn't remember anything. Ugh. She didn't know she was raped because she was unconscious. She ended contact with him when she was 19. All right, we have Victoria.
So it took 3 years?
She worked with him on a show. Yeah. Victoria Valentino, who spoke out. She was a former playmate and introduced to him in the 70s. She had dinner with him. He drugged her and her friend, drove them back to an apartment. He raped her in the apartment and told her to take a taxi home. All right. Jewel Allison.
Such a gentleman.
He's such a... Ugh. Jewel Allison is a former model. He drugged and sexually... Most of these girls were drugged.
No, I got that.
She said he took her to dinner, gave her a glass of wine, placed her hand on his genitals. That was my sexual assault by the comedian. He turned me around and said, let's get you home. At the door, he gave me a very hard embrace and a hard kiss. He paid for a cab. And she said recently, we may be looking at America's greatest serial rapist that ever got away with for the longest amount of time. He got away with it because he was hiding behind the image of Cliff Huxtable. One of the names that they forgot in this list, or because this list was made before this came out, was Michelle Hurd, who was Jeffries on season 1 of SVU. Jeffries posted on her Facebook page, look, I wasn't going to say anything, but I can't believe that some of these things I've been reading, so here's my personal experience. I did stand-in work on the Cosby show back in the day, and yes, Cosby was very inappropriate with me. It started innocently, lunch in his dressing room daily, then on to weird acting exercises where he'd move his hands up and down my body. I can't believe I fell for that. I was instructed to never tell anyone what we did together. He said the other actors would become jealous. Then, fortunately, I dodged the ultimate bullet when he asked me to come to his house, take a shower so he could blow dry my hair and see what it looked like straightened. At that point, my own red flags went off, and I told him, no, I'll just come into work tomorrow with my hair straightened. I then started to take notice and found other actresses stand-in as well, and we started talking a lot. Turns out he was doing the same thing to her, almost by the numbers, but she did go to his house. And because I will not name her and it's her story to tell, all I'll say is she awoke after being drugged, vomited, and then Cosby told her to get in the cab that was waiting for her. I have absolutely no reason to lie or make this up. Anyone who knows me knows that. Now you have my first-hand account with Mr. Cosby.
There's just so many. It just frustrates me.
It's disgustingly frustrating. I'll say one last thing on this topic before I move on to other news. Is that Moritz, one of the women who I listed there, because of the statute of limitations on a lot of these cases, she's getting a class action suit. She's getting 9 or more women together to file a case, because if they have more, I think the idea is that they will ignore the statute of limitations because of how many women there are or something. That's what I understood from that story. Really sad. A lot of people have asked me to give us all the update because we were doing Stephen Collins updates, so we might as well do this one as well. Mm-hmm. It's sad. It's disgusting. Stephen Collins, I know this is so crazy, but I was, as horrific as that was, I talked about how fun it's going to be when SVU does an episode. I don't want an episode of this. This is heartbreaking, and I don't want an episode, but they'll do it.
Yep.
All right. In other, also interesting news, guys, there's a 17-year-old man whose name was Lugo. He was kind of taken, not kidnapped, but had an online relationship with this man named Weston. They got together and decided they were going to go to a middle school. The 17-year-old started going to the middle school as a 6th grader to recruit children for porn.
Whoa. Hold on. So he just did like a 21 Jump Street, went to school.
Yes, to recruit little boys for pornography. They pretended they were father and son and signed him up for school.
So
yeah.
How young does he look?
Apparently, he passed for a 6th grader for a little bit.
6th grade, you are in 12? You're 12? 11?
I would say 11.
11.
Yeah, 17-year-old who looks like he's 11.
Wow, that's kind of sad.
Really sad.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to imagine what that would look like.
Also, speaking of this Ray Rice story that we had today, today, just before this episode, Ray Rice was reinstated, which, from what I read, because I looked this up, doesn't mean that he's going to play necessarily. It means that he can be signed to a team. What team would want this?
Listen, same thing with Michael Vick when he did the dog bounty thing. He went to jail and he came back. Someone signed him. He is now playing football.
Dog fight.
Dog fight. What did I call it?
Dog bounty. like Dog the Bounty.
Dog down.
Or he's Dog the Bounty Hunter. Yeah. Roya.
Thank you.
Okay.
You having a seizure over there? What's happening?
Dog fight.
I
was just thinking like in a circle, there's a you put money down on the dog. That's my thought.
Sure.
Yeah, bounty. Totally get it. Yeah.
Don't help her, Nando. She's being ridiculous.
But anyways, Ray Rice was he's a top player in the NFL.
According to the article I read, he is no longer a top player. He's kind of getting old for the NFL. He's like 28.
Michael Vick is much older.
I don't know who these people are.
Listen, the point is someone will take him because he's a cheaper player now.
Yeah.
And he might not make money from it, but he's still going to someone's going to pick him up. And he'll still be a top fantasy player.
Okay.
For football.
On a much lighter note, and I'm glad to have something to end this on a much lighter note. BuzzFeed has a quiz, which I took.
Uh-oh, wait, where's this going? How?
Yep, it is
Are you a Bill Cosby or Stephen Collins? Which
That's a funny
molester
quiz.
Are you?
No. No, it is a quiz of who said it, Benson or Stabler. It is available on BuzzFeed. I took it. I did not do well, which surprised me.
So you didn't get a character?
No, it's who said it, Benson or
again.
Stabler.
Oh. I thought it asked, who are you, Benson or Stabler?
It's like it's a quote, and then there's a picture of Benson and Stabler, and you pick who said it, and then they tell you what it was.
So you're saying
it's
they
really
both
fun.
have anger issues.
Yeah, it was such a great quiz. I'm going to tweet it out for all the fans because I'm a nerd. It was a lot of fun.
That's
all right,
cool.
That's all the news I have.
No update on Steven?
No update on Stephen Collins. Let's head into predictions. What?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
No lights?
Wait, the lights flicker here?
No, not really.
All right, no lights here.
Sorry.
Whoosh, whoosh.
You don't get the VIP.
Thanks. Whatever. All right, next time, which is going to be December 10th, is the next new episode. We have a serial rapist. Oh, Bill Cosby. And it's a national manhunt. It seems we might have an Atlanta connection. I think we're going to get to see Rollins' old boss. And Peter Gallagher Dodds is back.
Do you think we're going to see what happened with Rollins and that interaction with her boss?
I hope so.
Because they kind of teased us that one episode when she flew there for
Yeah, that was the one with the other player sport. Shark something.
The basketball player.
Sterling was that case. Anyway, sorry. I don't care when it's sports, guys. So that's the next episode. But we'll remind you, comment and tweet at us what fan favorite episode we should do next.
Yes.
Also, let's do some predictions. What do you think's gonna? You think we're gonna get the Rollins boss story?
I think we're going to get 2 Baby Benson viewings.
Okay.
2.
I think we're gonna see Carisi do something.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. He didn't do anything this week.
Yeah, he wasn't even in it. I think Finn will have a cheesy line to say.
But that's not even a prediction. That's how the show works.
Do you think Rollins and Amaro will be caught by Dodds?
Dodds? No, I think Dodds is too busy being angry at Benson.
So
I think
he's angry at the baby,
No.
so they can get away with the
for
the
sure.
love behind the
I
back.
think that Nick is gonna realize that there was something with Rollins' old boss.
And get jealous.
Either get jealous or
Do you
get
think it's
angry.
anger?
Yeah. What, do we need another Stabler? Is that what this is? They're like, oh, what we need is an angry guy.
Do you think Amaro would ever get with Benson?
No.
No.
I don't like that.
I was just curious.
I don't like that one bit.
Threw a little wrench in there.
Yeah.
How many
gross.
times do you think Baby Benson's going to show up?
Who cares?
Give me a number. You know he's gonna show up.
Yeah,
Picture.
I say at most 2 live appearances.
How many pictures in the background?
I don't know. It depends on how many times we go into her office.
And have her laptop open.
Yeah. Gross. All right, guys. This has been SVU Spousal Privilege with a long, disgusting trip down Cosby Lane.
And again, domestic abuse, not funny.
Yeah.
Don't do it. If you do, or if you need to talk to somebody, the phone number again is 1-800-799-7233.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell them where they can find you.
Well, guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Hey Roya. That's HeyRoya. And I might be eating some Jello. I don't know. Maybe.
No.
No Jello.
No more Jello.
Okay. Any kind of Jello?
No. Guys, you can find me online at Yael.tv. That's YAEL.tv. There you'll find info about all the shows I do here, including the Constantine After Show and many more. Also, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Google+. Those are the places where you can find me to tell me what fan favorite episode we should do next. The username is Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. We will see you next week for a fan favorite, and then December 10th for the serial rapist.
Boy.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Dun dun.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.